States, who returned to China in the mid-1950s, Chen Shui-sun. He was a brilliant engineer at Caltech, in fact. And in many ways, his experience foreshadowed some of the challenges that we're facing today with how to integrate the tremendous talent pool that China generates into our global research enterprise in a way that doesn't jeopardize our national security. So CASIA's origins lie originally with the Chinese military, as do so many high-tech enterprises in China. But then it began to expand beyond that, and CASIA now is one of the primary institutes for artificial intelligence research in China. It's a global hub, it's widely respected internationally, and it generates a tremendous amount of talent.
There are 1,062 full-time employees, 663 graduates, 113 professors, and 59 postdocs. In other words, it looks like a think tank. It looks like a university. But, Jeff, I come to you on this because what we're dealing with is an organization, an entity that is suspect of contributing to mass surveillance directed against the Chinese people and others. In particular, you mentioned the Uyghurs being brutalized in Xinjiang with concentration camps and with daily checks. That development, is that of recent origin, Jeff? Does that date back to the 20th century? Is that something that has just come up because of the Chinese leadership's decision? Do you know?
Yeah, no, I don't actively follow all the human rights abuses that have been going on. I think it's really been mostly the past decade or so, in terms of what China is doing, particularly against the Uyghur Muslim minorities in Xinjiang, and creating these labor, education, basically concentration camps, and the horrifying human rights abuses reported. And that's been somewhat more recent, I would say, over the last decade or so or less. But what we do know, there's been a lot of reporting from human rights NGOs and other journalism to show that area where they're deploying and rounding up Uyghurs, has basically been a test bed for developing a lot of these surveillance technologies, deploying this research in a way to monitor every action, every aspect of these minorities in Xinjiang, and as a result of this hotbed of testing surveillance technologies, they can now deploy that, and they are, around the rest of China and export it around the world. And this CASIA appears to play a very important role in the underlying research and innovation ecosystem that has supplied that. And the last thing I'll mention is CASIA, you have to understand, is part of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, which is the central government organ. And so by design, it's going to abide by and develop priorities of the party state.
The concern here is that there are entities within CASIA that are very difficult to determine whether they're malign or benign. And Glenn, I come to you because I can see how this all turns into the fog of think tanks. We have the concerns for mass surveillance, that's obvious, and vetting, pre-criminal vetting. It certainly sounds like Philip K. Dick, pre-crime to the rescue. But otherwise, they're networking with global researching and global labs and global technology and software firms. And I think you make the point that it is very difficult to determine if you're working for research or whether you're working for the People's Liberation Army. Are there resources that can vet better than we have in the past, or is this something that's beyond our reach right now to find out who this person really is?
Right, John. I mean, one of the goals for this report was to kind of raise the idea that we should not be mirror imaging what looks familiar to us here at home and projecting that on China. Because China has such a fundamentally different political system, the same backstops with regard to civil and human rights and civil liberties do not apply that we can almost take for granted here, because we have a free press that can expose the kinds of violations that are occurring routinely in China. And so in China, it's not quite a question of benign or malign. You can have both of these things happening within the same institute because, as Jeff said, exists to serve the interests of the Chinese party state. And so you have these entities like CASIA, which is a globally recognized prestigious institute of research in brain science and artificial intelligence, collaborates with all the best universities globally, sends postdocs abroad to study, they publish in journals. It looks like a place, if you're a world-class researcher in the United States or in Europe or Japan, it looks like exactly the kind of place you want to partner with to move the frontiers of human knowledge forward, to develop solutions for brain diseases. And in fact, they do have all of that. But there is this darker side of what they do, because they exist in this different political context, which has different priorities than our own. And so when we did this report, it was partly to say that, when we partner with authoritarian nations like China, not exclusively China, but like China as an example, we need to start thinking about how different rules apply. And so CASIA is kind of a dual entity. It has this aspect of it that looks really familiar to us, like an MIT or a Carnegie Mellon or Berkeley or Stanford. And then there is a police state aspect to it too. And they're all kind of bound up into one entity. We don't really have the resources necessary or the conceptual frameworks yet to appropriately wrap our minds around that and vet institutions like that. Part of what Jeff and I are trying to do is develop that capacity.
I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Go ahead. Jen, I just want to add, what we did in this report, and we have an appendix with a methodology, is to really try to do exactly what Glenn is saying, is build a process for U.S. institutions and our democratic allies to really do the kind of extensive due diligence that's required, where you really have to dig. And a quick example is the fact that you have to really look at what these institutions are doing domestically, the type of research they're producing on their own, even without, not what they're... It's one thing to look at what they're doing in collaboration internationally, but what is it that they're doing at home? And who do they partner with, and who's funding their efforts? And it's that level of due diligence that's really needed, and we provide a framework for that.
I'm speaking with Jeff Stock and Glenn Tifford. They are the authors, the compilers, the researchers, the overwhelming detailed providers for a new report available at the Hoover Institution, Eyes Wide Open, Ethical Risks in Research Collaboration with China. When we come back, private enterprises, apparently, are engaged in all of these activities linked to CASIA. Who are they? What are they doing? This is CBS Eye on the World. I'm John Bassett.
Give the gift they want this year. A new iPhone 12 from Pure Talk for just $479. Pure Talk gives you great prices and great 5G coverage with unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data for just $30 a month. The average family saves over $800 a year. Just dial pound 250 and say Jill 50, and you'll save 50% off your first month and save on a new iPhone. Dial pound 250 and say Jill 50. Some restrictions apply. See site for details.
Here's a great thing to consider doing right now before the end of the year. Call MediShare and find out just how much you would save by switching to MediShare, the affordable alternative to health insurance. When you call, you'll get some good news and probably be very happily surprised too. The typical family saves $500 a month, but you might save even more. It's so worth it to at least find out, and you'll see why more than 400,000 people are already members. MediShare is a Christian community that's shared more than $4 billion in each other's healthcare costs. It really is remarkable, and they're very easy to talk to. And here's the thing, if you join before the end of the year, they'll waive your new member fee. That's another $170 you'll save. I'll give you the number here in a second. The call, and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is December 31st, so call now. You'll save even more. Call 866-88-BIBLE. That's 866-88-BIBLE. 866-88-BIBLE.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out. Rocket technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at create Rocket.
I'll be right back.
For all your Oriental rug learning needs, just one call to Joe Hadi.
We know you have a lot on your plate this holiday season, and when your guests arrive, it's important to have a clean, healthy home. So get a jump on the holidays with a deep-down professional clean for your rugs and carpets. Deep now has a cleaning process for every kind of rug and every budget. So if it's been a while since you've got a quote from us, call back and find out how much you can save. Plus, Joe Hadid has a new cleaning formula that is 100% effective on pet odor and 98% effective on pet stains, all with our money-back guarantee. There's also free pickup and delivery. Some restrictions apply. Right now, you can save 15% off any implant rug cleaning. That's 15% off. So this holiday season, get those rugs cleaned. Remember, a clean home is a healthy home. To learn more, go to joehadid.com. That's joehadid.com.
If you stand on it, we stand behind it.
Hi, I'm Abe Abish. On behalf of myself, my family, and my team at Abish Financial, may your holidays sparkle with moments of love, laughter, and goodwill. Whatever is beautiful, whatever is meaningful, whatever brings you happiness, we hope that it will be yours this holiday season and throughout the coming year. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from all of us at Abish Financial Services and Retirement Key Radio.
Right now, people are home with their pets more often, and I think now, especially with the shedding, they're more cognizant of what's going on and that it's an actual issue. And Dynavite has helped tremendously in our house with that.
I just heard the Dynavite commercial so many times that I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And I ordered it and tried it, and it worked.
The Dynavite, the being at home, working with them, they all love it. Me and Chewy are together 24/7.
Within 3 weeks, he's not scratching and itching, and he's an all-around happier dog.
DINOVITE.com.
Mark Levin, weeknights from 6 to 9 on Washington's Mall, WMAL, where Washington comes to talk.
CBS Eye on the World, I'm John Batchelor. I am speaking with Glenn Tifford and Jeff Stock. They are the authors, the providers of a new report, Eyes Wide Open, Ethical Risks and Research Collaboration with China. Glenn is a Hoover Research Fellow, head of the project on China's global sharp power. Jeff is the founder of Redcliffe Enterprises and a long-term former veteran of the U.S. government. We're speaking of the threat, the apparent threat, of hiding in plain sight of an organization that appears to be scientific research, CASIA. However, it also has private enterprises that are attached to it that may or may not be turning up in research in the U.S. or Europe. And I want to go through the list here, gentlemen, because it's revelatory. I feel, again, that I've wandered into a Philip K. Dick story. There's VizTech, there's Iris King, there's Iris Star, there's Waitrix. And, Jeff, I want to start with Waitrix because you've mentioned it already. Pioneering in the recognition of human gait. To what end? Why is this useful to know how people walk, Jeff?
Well, in the case of the China's police state, it's yet another tool in their toolbox to be able to track, target, track, and identify suspects of interest, for whatever reason they want, in a way that other forms of surveillance cannot do, such as facial recognition. If you're, hooded and masked and what have you, right, then it's